Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to the Wellbeing Talks. Hello to the replay viewers, good morning or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching us from wherever in the world. My name is Gabriella, I'm a wellbeing author and blogger at shinelikeapearl.com, and tonight my guest is Darren Horne. Darren is an author, teacher, martial arts trainer, and life coach. And today he will be talking to us about the new book that he has just published called Level Up Your Teens. Darren, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi. That was a great intro, and yes, I just written a book called Level Up Your Teens, which is about helping teenagers get more out of life. It's kind of like a life hack book with signposts of things they should go and read. Um, because obviously, as a teacher in particular, I teach 16 to 18-year-olds, and I've just seen um, mental health issues, self-esteem issues, body issues just increase over the last 10 years or so that I've been teaching, and I was saying the same things kind of every year, trying to kind of motivate them and support them. So I thought it's time to write a book and just get this stuff out there.
That is fantastic. So you actually have hands-on experience with teenagers and the problems that you have seen with your work with them. That's what inspired this book, right?
And it was also built on the fact that I had my daughter was born last year, January, so she's coming up to 18 months now, and I got postnatal depression, and that triggered in me a realization that I'd had depression and social anxiety most of my life, and the tools I learned to fight that off are very easily available, but we don't do them. So there's two things that happened. One is I got the tools and I wanted to share them, and the other is I was looking at my daughter at sort of 1 year, 14 months, 16 months, and she's just amazing. She's completely carefree. She doesn't know what she looks like. There's no kind of racism or homophobia. She's not stressed over anything. She doesn't give up. She just keeps on trying. And I look at her and think, clearly unhappiness and sadness and depression and anxiety are programmed. And as a media specialist,
Yeah.
I can see that from day one, the media is programming us to be unhappy so they can sell us stuff. And it just broke my heart that the thought that that's also going to happen to Evelyn. And then as well with mental health issues in adults, a lot of the time, I think 50% of the time, it manifests in the teens. So if I can help kind of stop it growing in the teenage years, maybe they'll have a better life.
That is beautifully put. That is fantastic. So, what kind of issues, what kind of pressures do teenagers face these days?
Well,
Can we talk about a few that you couldn't identify, please?
sure. I mean, there's obviously the pressures of school itself, of education, and in particularly in the UK, but I think a lot of the time in the West, it's really long hours. It's lots of homework. It's testing. It's going to school very early, and it breaks my heart. Like I heard of a story just recently with a 16-year-old girl who was crying because she might not get A star. She would just get A's. And you think, why are you crying over education? Education should be fun. And it is when you're, again, looking at my daughter, she loves learning how to put shapes into holes and things like that. But they kill the joy of learning. And yet, if you
Yeah.
look at the countries at the top of the league table, particularly I think Finland, in top of the educational league table, they have. I think you don't go to school until you're 7 or something. I think
Yeah.
in primary school it's only 20 hours a week, and it's play. They know that you need to climb trees and play outside and play with your friends, and it paid off. I don't think they test at all. There's virtually no homework, and yet the kids are learning and are happier than the teenagers in our country. That's insane. Which means I get a bit paranoid now. Which means that the government and know this because educational thought leaders know this, and the statistics back it up, and yet no one's doing anything about it. It
Yeah.
feels like we're stuck in this almost Victorian education system where you get people in a room, you dress them all the same, you line them up in desks, you teach them to work 40 hours a week in preparation for going to work in a factory or an office, and they can work for the
Yeah.
whole of their lives until they die. That's a sucky system to have in 2017.
Yeah, I think we passed that system because that was a system geared towards raising soldiers who follow orders, and like you said, people in factories again who follow orders, but the 21st century is very different. Also, we have information at our fingertips. It's not about what you know, it's how you use all that knowledge that you have. And
And
I just don't think school prepares you for that, does it?
no, because unfortunately, it's really hard as a teacher to stay up to date with your subject knowledge. Like whatever you teach, if you're not doing it in your own time, you're not going to stay up to date. And the world's moving so fast, and our brains haven't caught up with it. So you've got
Mm.
teenagers who are stressed over education. They're also stressed because they're in a world with infinite choice. Like they can literally do anything. Like right now, they could learn French online. They could learn coding. When they leave yes, Harry Potter's behind me. When they leave school, they could go traveling around China. They could do so many different things, and yet because there's so much choice, they almost limit themselves, and the system limits them to say, well, you can go get a job or go to university. It's like there are so many more options than that, and I think that if they could just believe in themselves and see the world for what it is, they realize how magnificent it is. And there's teenagers out there who are they're doing sort of TED talks, and they're traveling the world, and they're creating apps and doing the things they love. And if I can't help the teenagers when they're teenagers, my fear is they then go through a life of just kind of plodding along and not going on like the hero's journey and getting more out of life. Because again, I feel like I'm going on a rant, but the media's job is to keep us scared and afraid and make us feel that we don't want to do anything. Even now with
Yeah.
terrorist attacks, it's like, oh, don't go on planes, don't go traveling, don't do this. The world's not as scary as the media makes out.
The world is actually a beautiful place, but you don't read about beautiful stories and you don't see them in the media. They don't cover those. They cover the sensational, negative, and frightening stuff. And actually, if you look around, there are lots of beautiful people doing beautiful things, and
There's a media theory
it's
called
not right.
the media theory is called mean world syndrome, and you start to think the world is a lot more dangerous and mean than it is, um, and that's because we just consume media that's all negative, and it's
Yeah. And for teenagers, that is a very sensitive period in one's life.
yeah,
You're very easily influenced, I think, around 15 to 18. That is a time in one's life that is a very, very important part.
yeah, because you'll start to
How
question your programming to a certain extent. You question kind of your family, your upbringing, and you start to rebel. But there's a guy called Simon Sinek who talks about your why, like what is your role to play on the planet, what is your passion, and he talks about how that's pretty much identifiable when you are 16, 17, 18. So whatever your kind of gut passion is, whatever you do in your own time is probably what you should be doing for your life. And there's ways probably to monetize it now, like whatever your passion is. I mean, there's people, you know, particularly through personal branding and creating vlogs, and you can make money just playing board games on YouTube if you did it right. You know, you can make money
yeah.
playing computer games. The problem is your teachers and your parents don't know that. So they're going to say, no, you need to go get a proper job and work 40 hours a week. Why? I did not bring my daughter into the world to work 40, 50 hours a week until she dies. I want her to work as little as possible, or at least work doing something that she loves, something that she has a passion for. But it feels like there's a system in place that kind of wants to stop us from doing that.
Do you actually hear this from your students that they have certain dreams or passions they want to pursue, and the parents are saying, that's not what you should be doing?
Yeah, I've heard it a few times. Even to the point of view of studying media, like in interviews, I say, "Oh, my parents don't really want me to do media," and I was like, "Really?" Because everything in the world is media right now. It's like you're swimming in it. No matter what job you do, you could do with media. Every company has a website. It needs content. It needs video content. The future is video. Like I'm still stunned that I'm not actually teaching classes sometimes in this format. It's why can't we bring in kind of specialist lecturers and just have them kind of Skype in or video talk into my class? Like we need to be doing that more. So but I get it because people always thought that media was a soft subject, or it's the whole they just don't understand the new world. They don't understand it, and they'll say, oh, but you know, how can you make money doing that? Or people want stability. Another interesting fact I came across is that the time of having careers that are 40 years long is kind of gone, and careers are now.
Oh, that is gone. That's long gone.
Exactly.
That's
I've had
long gone.
tons of careers in my life. This is a new one. This is a new kind of 4 year process. In another 4 years, I'd probably be doing something else. And
Yeah.
that's me of 40, like 16, 17, 18-year-olds, their career changes are going to be fast. And
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the future for them. There's going to be, virtual reality, augmented reality, virtual classrooms kind of for their kids. So many exciting things. And they just need that push to believe in themselves.
So this is the main message, that they should believe in themselves, and then everything that they want to do, they can do, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's a bit more. You've got to really be careful what your diet is, and I mean diet in every sense of the word. So what food you're eating,
Hmm.
what you're drinking, but also what your media diet is. And I
The
love playing.
influences, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I love playing games. I love watching movies a lot. But I'm also aware that if I play Assassin's Creed a ton, I'm going to, as I kind of drive around, part of my brain is working out how to climb buildings because I've been doing it in a game for so long. It does have an impact.
Yeah.
And your other diet is the people you hang out with. Like if your four friends, your
Oh,
five closest friends,
that's a big
uh,
one.
yeah, are not high achievers or lazy, they're going to drag you down. Like if my five closest friends were, I don't know, Richard Branson, Mark Zuckerberg, or all these other Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, I'd be rich and I'd be not that it's about the money, but I'd have a lifestyle that gave me lots of freedom, and I'd be able to do what I wanted to do, because I was hanging out with motivated, energized people. Same thing with us, and being in the Badass Plan Squad. It's motivated, very supportive people, and we're all gonna do better because of that.
Teenage years are typically the years when you're looking for you're looking for that peer group,
Yeah,
right? You're establishing your tribe, and it's also an easy time to like start to hang out with the wrong people.
yeah, and
What
it's
would you suggest to if there are parents watching this and they worried about the kids hanging out with the wrong kind of people? Is there anything you could suggest how to help that?
I think it's really tricky because we can make snap judgments over kind of what the wrong type of person is, and we can say, um, and we can use, I guess, our generation's standards and apply them to a younger generation, which we shouldn't really do. Um, so as a very minor example, swearing. So let's say your son or daughter hangs out with some kids who swear a lot. It's 2017. Swear words don't really exist anymore. It's comedians use them. They're in every film. They're in 12A films now. It's the only people who are getting offended are generally the older generations. That's a minor thing. But what I would suggest is you probably know your son and daughter pretty well in terms of what their passion is. Like you can tell if they're artistic, or if they're interested in engineering, or if they were fascinated by sport, and if their friendship group is moving them away from what you think their passion, what you think their why is, then it would be worth having a conversation with them and being like, is this you doing this? Or are you doing this because your friends are doing it? Like, are you going to that university because your friends are going to that university? Are you, yeah, are you going to go apply for that job because your friends are doing it? And I get it's scary, but sometimes you just got to break away from it, and you've got to break away from your friends. And as a 40-year-old, I've broken out of so many friendship groups. Like we tend to think they're going to be there for life. I don't think I've got any friends who I've known all my life. I've got maybe two who I went to university with. And we leave jobs and say, "Oh, we'll keep in contact." We don't keep in contact. You might have a Facebook notification once in a while, but you just move on.
Yeah,
And you'll meet
yeah,
new friends who connect to you because you've evolved. Like a Pokemon. You've a caterpillar into a butterfly. If you're not evolving, if your friends aren't evolving in the same direction, or at least evolving, then they're going to hold
mm,
you back. I love the fact I
yeah.
referenced Pokemon.
But yeah, that's very true. You really need to be smart about your circle of friends
Yeah, particularly
and
your
like
romantic partner, because they probably have a lot more sway. You need somebody. I talk about this in the book. I talk about a Wonder Woman Superman power couple.
Oh,
And
let's talk about this a bit more.
because I like Wonder Woman and Superman are just, even though I'd rather Wonder Woman got together with Batman, but you know, in reality, Superman's the powerful person. And when you're in a relationship, 1+1 should equal like a million. You should be greater than the sum of your parts. Too many people have relationships which are 1+1 = 2, which is okay. Sometimes you're in relationships that are 1+1 equals like a minus number. Like you literally just drag each other down. And that
Mm.
takes a lot of self-awareness to know that that's happening. Whereas when you find that power couple kind of chemistry, then you can just achieve anything. It's you've always got that person in your corner, and they're probably evolving with you, which is important.
The teenage years are usually the first serious relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in that first serious relationship, I think you can sometimes feel like I will never fall in love again with anybody else, and then you kind of like cling on to that person, thinking that, oh my God, nobody's ever going to love me.
That's it.
Whereas there is always life after, and if that relationship is not good, it's not fulfilling, then it's not worth being in that relationship, right?
Exactly right. But we all feel that. I remember staying in relationships for much longer than I should have because I just thought, well, this is it. And if it's a bad relationship as well, there can be like a passive aggressive thing going on where they take away your self esteem because maybe they're scared as well, that they won't find somebody else. So you belittle the other person so that they won't leave, but you end up belittling yourself. But there is always a new person, and if there isn't, is that so bad? It's like if you take a problem to the full extent, if you just keep saying, okay, well and then what happens? So, I break up and now I'm single, and then what happens? Well, I'm free to go live my life and get jobs and read books and watch films and play sports and flirt and go on dating sites. And but what if I never find somebody else? Well, you'll make meaningful friendships. You'll get a dog. It's like we don't need to define ourselves by another person. And this is a dangerous thing because we naturally put our happiness in somebody else's hands. And it's
Yeah.
romantic, you
Oh.
know. Whitney Houston bugs me because she does lots of songs like "I could never live without you." That's a really dangerous thought process to go under. Like as horrible as it
And that's
seems.
what happened to her in real life. And how terrible is that? You
Yeah,
know that because of that bad relationship, what happened to her?
yeah,
That is, and
exactly.
that it's not just a Hollywood thing. That happens in real life. That happens in small towns. That happens, that can happen to you or me. You
Exactly.
really need to be. You really need to catch yourself, I think, that can be quite difficult. Self-awareness, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
it's an easy word to, but it's not that easy to actually achieve that, is it?
Yeah, you need kind of reminders or anchors in your life daily. Like I follow a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk on YouTube or everywhere. He's everywhere on social media. He's all about self awareness. Every video he does, he's like self awareness. You've got to because we are naturally heroes of our own journey, and we naturally feel fear when we're faced with a new quest, like with a new challenge, and we'll make up excuses why not to go on the challenge. If oh no, now's not the right time, and what if I fail? And I just don't have enough money for that. But if you're self-aware enough, you can just find this ball of fear inside you that you're scared of failing. You're scared of failing in front of somebody. You're worried about getting embarrassed or making a, but you can just go do it anyway. Um, and every motivational person, every winner, every person who's got success will say they failed a ton anyway, but they just kept going. And then the book's called Level Up Your Teams because I think about it in computer game character terms that you go on a
Okay.
quest and you level up your statistics. So right now we're leveling up our online kind of interview skills and interviewee skills. I'm leveling up my parenting skills. Um, and when you're new to something, it's actually really easy to get good faster because
Yeah.
you've never done it before. So it doesn't take many experience points to get good. When you've been doing something for a long time, it takes ages to kind of go up a level. You plateau more, particularly, as you said, I do martial arts, and that plateau can put people off, but eventually you'll level up. Um, and so I think it's always good to go do new things and and try and overcome the fear. Fear is good. Fear is just another word for anxiety. People like being scared. They watch horror movies to be scared. They go on roller coasters to be scared.
Exactly.
And then you say, oh,
Exactly.
then you say, can you do a presentation in front of like 500 people? Oh no, that's scary. You just pay to go on a roller coaster to feel fear. You can do this for free.
Yeah, I think fear is a natural part of life. It's just some people choose to just do the things anyway, regardless of the fear, and other people choose to let fear stop them. And
Yeah,
that's the only difference, I think, between people who go for things and people who don't. They both feel the fear, but one of them will stop and the other will say, I don't care, I'm gonna do it anyway.
absolutely right. And I get it. It's particularly with this kind of thing and personal branding and putting yourself out there and breaking away from the herd. Like that's a big thing for teenagers to overcome,
Yeah.
particularly if it's particularly for women as well. The amount of abuse you can get online and trolling. But that stuff
Yeah.
bothers me as well. But you surround yourself with allies who can support you and tell you that it's okay.
So who would you recommend this book to?
Ah, well, I wrote it for teenagers because that's my, um, I guess that's my forte. That's who I hang out with the most. But actually, it's for anyone who is in the same situation as a teenager. So you're looking for change in your life. You're on the cusp of a new adventure, and you're feeling that fear, or you're just feel like you're not getting the most out of your life that you can. And it's only 100 pages or so. It's a real quick read. You can read it in like 90 minutes, and a lot of it's signposting you to different ways of thinking. So yeah, it's really just to give you signposts and support to get more out of life. There's things about mindfulness in there and the hero's journey and anchoring techniques and use of language, which such as saying I choose to do this, because it makes you saying I choose makes you feel strong. Saying I have to do something makes your whole body go, oh, I have to go to college tomorrow. Oh, I have to go to work. You don't have to do anything except consume food and water to keep your body alive. You choose to go to work. Have the self awareness to admit that. And then if you don't like it, have the courage to change your life. Even if it's a side quest on the side, like you're doing something on a Sunday, or you wake up early for an hour each morning and work on a new project. You can create change in your life if you want to. So I guess that's who the book is for. Yeah.
That is pretty awesome. So you you had you've written it with specifically teenagers in mind, but it's not just teenagers who can use the information. So the
Totally.
parents can buy it for their kids and read it themselves and learn from it.
Totally. And a lot of the reviews I'm getting on Amazon.co.uk are from adults saying, like one person said that she worked with teenagers in a volunteer element, and she was like, "This really helps me understand them." So that's good. And my book is free on Kindle at the moment, free for the
Wow.
next 5 days. So you can grab it, download it for free. In the book, it's got all my social media details. So if you want to talk to me about it or ask me follow-up questions, just hit me up. I'll answer. And if you like it, write a review and spread the word.
Guys, this is a great offer, so make sure you take up Darren on that. Let's talk a little bit about how education and life skills.
Sure.
How is it? How do you see this topic as a teacher? Because like part of your role is to make sure you cover a certain content in those classes, so
Yeah.
it has to be about education and blah blah. But
Yeah.
is there a part of you that says that, they could just learn this on Google by a Google search and we really should be talking to them about life?
I'm lucky because it's media, so we get to talk about anything. We can talk about politics because it's how politics is reported. We get to talk about the banking crisis because it's how it was reported. But yeah, I go like I don't. I've had lessons on what council taxes, what TV licenses are, what interest rates are, all the stuff they weren't taught at school. I'm very open with how much I get paid with my students, and what scares me is the range. Like no one really knows, and it's usually a lot lower than I get paid. And I say to them, "You think that after like a degree, a master's degree, teacher training, that I'm on that amount?" So no wonder maybe some people aren't trying in education because they can't see where education would lead them. And I asked them about, do they know what a mortgage is? And I teach that. But I'd also encourage them to go home and say to their parents, do you mind telling me how much you earn? What kind of debt we're in? Do you have a mortgage? Do we rent? How much is left on the mortgage? But some parents are really guarded over that because it's a whole different generation and they don't want to share that
Yeah.
information. It's like, you don't want to share this massively important information with your children. Like, how are they going to have
Yeah.
any guide in life about, what they want to do or how much money is a lot or what they can do with their life? So yeah, I think the students I see don't know life skills in terms of the finances and renting and paying bills. And then there's the other side of it, which is the emotional. So they don't know how to
Yeah.
manage their emotions, don't know how to deal with stress, don't know how to deal with grief. Don't know how to talk to somebody who's had a loss in their family. Having said that,
Mm.
I don't know those things, so I'm still trying to work them out.
But emotional intelligence is really important. I think that's actually more important to your success in life than your IQ.
Yes.
And nobody's talking about it
No,
in
I know,
school.
right?
That is.
And this comes down to kind of our little map of the world, because I think in our world, a lot of people are talking about it. Like I read a lot of articles about it, and I see lots of videos about it. But I understand that that's because that's my perspective. But you're right. Like a lot of people don't know what EQ is, and it's just that ability to have that self-awareness and to manage your emotions and to kind of have empathy as well with other people. But it's not
Yeah.
something that's taught in classes, and it's so vital to make personal human connections and to communicate effectively. It's a communication tool, really.
Yeah. I think life skills are much more important in the 21st century than anything else, because everything else they can just check on Google, or they will have devices, in their glasses and everything. In a few years' time, who knows what kind of technology we'll be having, little earplugs maybe, and then you look at something and you will, you never know that. But
Yeah,
emotional intelligence, self-development, life skills, that is going to be the thing to
absolutely.
to learn.
And you're right. I've
Yeah.
started to see things like in the future, in the probably relatively near future, you'll have a headset that will translate other languages in real time for you, robotically. That's going to be a norm. Like, and you'll have some kind of augmented reality, either in your contact lenses or on glasses or even on your phone. That's a definite, which just identifies things and measures things and works things out for you. So emotional intelligence is key, as well as artistic ability, creativity. You know,
Hmm.
technology can do a lot of things, but it can't create art. Well, good art.
That's true. Yeah. It's the humanities that you cannot replace with robots. They
Absolutely,
can do anything else, but the human qualities, the humanities, they will never be
absolutely.
able to.
That's it.
So what would you say to those parents who are a little bit worried about their children because of the kind of world we're living in and everything? What would you say to them?
I'd say it is scary, and try not to over consume the stuff that's negative, particularly with technology and the dangers. I mean, there are dangers online, but try not to get too paranoid. There's simple steps you can make. But the main thing I would suggest is try and involve yourself try and keep up to date with 2017. So try and
Mm.
involve yourself in what your kids are doing. Like, if your kids are on Snapchat, be on Snapchat. You don't have to follow them, but learn the language, learn what they're talking about, understand what it is. If your kids are on Musically, give it a go. Actually, Musically is really fun. You should totally give that a go. And just try and stay a little bit more up to date as to their opportunities. So, do they have to go to university? That's a judgment call these days. And just be supportive. And no matter what they want to do, just be supportive. If they want to, I don't know, do horse riding, just support them at least for 6 years or so. Because if you've got a teenager at 16, 17, 18, they can they're in a place where you're going to support them for maybe 6, 7 years at least, probably until they're 30 actually. But my parents are still supporting me at 40. So they can take a risk and just let them go all in on their passion and just say, what is it you want to do? We're going to do everything we can to support you. If it fails, in a decade, you might have to get a proper job, whatever a proper job is. But just try and support them in doing what they want to do, even if you don't understand it. Like, the world has changed. They can do kind of blogging. They can make money through playing computer games. They can design apps. Um, the other thing, which is a bit more serious, is particularly with men, boys, really watch out for signs of depression. Like, I would recommend doing a little bit of studying about it, mainly because when teenage boys get depressed, we manifest it as anger and sadness. So we just seem like dicks,
Mm.
and we just think, oh, he's just being a teenage boy. But a lot of the time, it's actually depression.
Okay.
There's a lot of
So
different answers.
what are the signs that parents would need to watch out for? Or friends, if any teenage boys are watching this,
I think
what signs would they watch out for?
for the guys, it's really hard because it feels like it's just being a teenager. So it's, not being really. I mean, everyone's going to manifest it differently, but being really lethargic, not being that motivated, not um, uh, like, depression can make you feel like you're in a bubble and you're not really engaged. Look out for social anxiety as well. Like, again, this is self-awareness. But when I was a kid, I avoided going to family events and weddings and things like that because I was just like, oh no, I've got to work. Oh, I've got to do this. I had social anxiety. That's what it was. But we didn't talk about it back then. So
Okay.
I think it's hard to kind of pinpoint all the I guess warning signs. Other than those, it's more of a feeling that you can tell if somebody is feeling the joy for life, um, and if they're just unmotivated, lethargic, just down. Like, even as I'm listing these things, my head is getting closer to the bottom of the screen because it's a heavy feeling. And it's like, oh, I can't be bothered. Oh, really negative, really non-optimistic. Whereas if you stand tall, you can shake it off. Oh, there we go. I'm back.
And what do you recommend if they catch these signs and they realize, oh, something is wrong? What's the
Okay.
next step?
I mean, obviously, I would always say go to the doctor without a doubt. The doctor's going to be way more supportive than you think. And even if it turns out you haven't got depression, it doesn't hurt. Just go to the doctor. And then there's going to be things you
Yeah.
can do alongside whatever the doctor says. So, and it's all pretty obvious stuff, but obvious stuff that's really, really hard to do when you're depressed. So, you've got to have multiple things and hopefully one can take. So, listening to kind of motivational music, have like a playlist that can help you. Drink lots of water, do exercise, play, like not zombie play. So, what I mean by that is not kind of playing a computer game and zoning out. That's not play. Play should be a bit more physical. Like, I love martial arts, but basketball, just rolling around on the ground,
Having
just
fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
just to get your heart going. Um, I
Yeah.
think it's good to hang out with a range of ages. So you should hang out with older people for kind of wisdom and context and things like that. Also, hang out with babies if you can, because they're fearless. And one at some point, we were all fearless on the timeline of our life. We all didn't care once, and we could put our head and legs behind our heads and just loved playing. Um, yeah, audit your friends. Make sure you've got good friends. What else do I do? Reading, I find, helps. I just make time for reading. But all of these things are going to be hard to do if you're depressed. You need to schedule them in, and you need to try and make them habits, like brushing your teeth. Like, you can get pretty depressed, but you still brush your teeth because you do it twice a day, no matter what. So make sure that you've got um, those schedules for drinking water, reading, uh, going for a walk, go hang out with animals as well. That's awesome. And it's appreciating those small things. So, like, appreciating those flowers that you've got there. It's there's a lot of beauty in the world. Appreciating the sunset, appreciating um, sunrises and moons and the feel of the wind. Being honestly, I could go on and on. Being mindful, so just bringing your thoughts to what you're doing, enjoying your food and tasting it, not just shoveling it in. Enjoying the feel
Mm.
of a warm cup of tea, enjoying the feel of holding your child's hand or your loved one's hand. Just all these little things. It's just slightly trying to, if depression is looking this way, just trying to turn your viewpoint so that you can focus on all the things that make the world great. But in my experience, depression is the, into computer game terms, the biggest final boss battle that you're ever going to have, and you need to throw everything you've got at it, because to put a down on it, depression kills people. Depression leads to suicide. There's not many illnesses that cause people to commit suicide other than depression. That was a downer tone.
Yeah, but we have to talk about it because depression rates are soaring among teenagers. So
Yeah.
it might be an uncomfortable truth or inconvenient truth, but it's that's what it is. It's
And
the
that's a good
truth.
point. It's people don't talk about it, so they're not aware, and they should. Like, parents shouldn't be ashamed if their child is, attempted that. They should actually become ambassadors and be like, we need to warn other people, and help other
Yeah.
people. Um, yeah, it's crazy the things we keep secret through what? Through shame or embarrassment. No, I'm a yeah. I've got no secrets. I'll talk about anything.
I think with parents, a lot of time is the fear of being judged.
Yeah,
Because if your child suffers from depression or mental health issues, then immediately they're gonna say, "Oh, you're a bad parent," and
yeah,
so
yeah.
so it can be that. I think parents can be at kind of at breaking point. I think
Yeah. Oh,
those families where both parents need to work to just to put food on the table, which is
yeah,
sadly a lot of families, and
yeah,
you just don't have the energy and the time to properly look after the children, and with teenagers to talk about all these emotional things that they are experiencing openly, and it's difficult.
that's it. And because we are in a society where parents don't have as much influence as they should, the education
Mm.
system is bringing up your kids, and when the education system isn't there, the media is bringing them up. Both of these
Yeah.
are great influences.
So what's the solution?
I think more people,
Level up your teens,
exactly.
obviously.
I think what seems to be happening is lots more people are talking about it across social media. I think there's a men's mental health awareness week coming up, or might even be this week. And the other part is just using any way you can to not get stressed over things that aren't important. Like, anything that's external to you isn't shouldn't have an influence on what's internal. So I think it's a Captain Jack Sparrow quote, even though it comes from somebody more serious. But he says, the problem isn't the problem. The problem is your opinion of the problem. And that's it. Like, failing exams isn't a problem. It doesn't stop you in any way. It's just the amount of import you've put on that. Breaking up with your girlfriend and boyfriend, really sure it'll have an impact, but you get to decide the impact, and you get to decide how quickly you can bounce back from that. We
Yeah.
put so much, we overblow stress when we don't need to. We like drama in our lives to a certain extent. So I think working on putting things into context, and that can be interesting. And that's another interesting thing you can do. Like, you watch motivational videos for people who are less able as you, or you watch
Mm,
videos of people kind of starving in other countries. It's like, and you're complaining that you can't afford a McDonald's. It's like,
yeah,
context. It's the
yeah,
mere fact that I'm alive right now in 2017 with the life I've got. It's phenomenal. Being alive right now, we don't have the Black Plague to deal with. We have paracetamol. Do you know how great paracetamol is? Like, if I was going to time travel, I wouldn't want to go that far back. There's a lot of nasty
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Whereas we've got safety, we've got uh, free education, we've got so many good things. But I'm fully aware that when you're depressed, none of that matters, and it's going to take like daily work. Even if it's like a good tip is have your screensaver on your computer, on your phone, as like a mantra or a quote or an image that just empowers you. You can have your password kind of set to something, make it so your computer logs out every 5 minutes or whatever, and just enter a password that makes you feel good about yourself. I am awesome. Darren is great. I'm going to win. Or if you're trying to give up something, I'm quitting smoking or whatever. Just keep writing these lines of code into your head to reprogram yourself. because we're just Sims, really, you know. And that's another thing you can do when you get angry with other people. It's like, well, if you had their DNA, their upbringing, watch the same movies, play the same games, listen to the same music, you would act in that way. And once you realize that, you realize that you can change what you're consuming and act in a different way.
That's pretty much NLP, right? Neuro linguistic programming.
Yeah, the NLP is neuro linguistic programming. It's an umbrella term for lots of different techniques, and it overlaps with lots of other theories as well. But yeah, it comes down to this idea that you can program your brain through language. And I did, when I was heavily depressed, I did a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner course, which I found really helped, as well as many other things I did. But really, if you know what NLP is and you read my book, you're going to be like, well, that's NLP, that's NLP, that's NLP. But I try to make it really accessible by talking about, computer games and films and my daughter.
And we are going to have an interview about NLP and how it can help to manage emotions and everything.
That was a good link. So, well played.
So those of you who would like to find out more, just stay tuned because we will be back. Darren, what else would you like to add about Level Up Your Teens?
It is really a signpost, and I get that a lot of people don't read. I've been told that reading isn't high on a lot of people's agenda. It really is short and quick and small bits of text, and it is a fast read. It's free right now, and I've made it. If you buy a print version, you get a free Kindle version, which is amazing. So it's, like I said, it's a fun, quick read, but it's mainly signposts for things you could go and look into more. So there's some TED Talks that I recommend. There's some books that I recommend reading. Throughout, there's films that I recommend watching, because the battle of being the hero of your journey is hard. Even for me, I've had nearly 40 years of programming. But teenagers have had 16, 17, 18 years of programming that they're going to want to become aware of. That's a battle that a 100-page book can't win, but it can. It's that first step to self-awareness, and it'll give you a couple of tools to maybe help get out of bed in the morning and to start taking risks. Plus, honestly, all my social media details are in there. I reply to everyone. Just hit me up with questions or thoughts or tips, and I'll share the tips with my network. But most of all, let me know what you think.
Awesome. Will you be able to post a link underneath this video so that people can purchase directly following that link?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that our viewers will want to take a look and purchase this awesome book. Guys, take advantage of this special offer. It's worth it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Darren, for this interview. Thank you for being here. And thank you everyone for watching it. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. I love doing these. It's so much fun. And I'm going to go.
Thank you, and we'll be back.
I was just going to say, I'll go through the comments. Got some comments popping up, but I'll go through them later tonight and I'll reply to them.
All right, awesome. Thanks everyone for being here. Hope you enjoyed this interview. Hope you got some value from it. Make sure to check out Darren's book, and we will be back very soon with another interview about NLP and how to manage emotions. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Have a fantastic weekend. And until I see you next time, you know what to do. Shine like a pearl and enjoy your life. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye, Darren.
Hi, guys.